Nnamdi, I had some questions. We talked about this earlier. I wanted to know your 5 albums that when you first heard them or you purchased them, that you were disappointed in or you hated. So I have some some albums I have for that list. And I was just curious if I'm the only person that, I get disappointed when I listen to certain albums, or, my expectations aren't met. Um, I I wanted to know what were some groups, or not groups, I'm sorry. What were some albums that you had purchased or listened to and they disappointed you or you just hated?
Well, I don't know about hate it, but you can always talk about you can talk about disappointment. Yeah.
Well, you
Uh,
talk all the time about Janet Jackson, that Rhythm Nation album. So
you know what?
is that on
Actually,
your list?
and
No, I'm
actually,
joking.
guys, I need to put it as sort of an addendum. After we spoke about it, I went
Mhm.
back to listen to the album, and I didn't realize all the tracks on the album. I didn't like
Oh, okay.
Ribbon Nation, the single, but I didn't realize, and the whole video concept, because I wasn't in America at the time, and so I didn't get it. I didn't get the whole thing. It just felt too
Oh,
dark.
okay.
And then I listened to all the other albums, songs on the albums, and oh man, this is actually a good album. So I have to apologize to Janet. So please, when
You
you
don't
do
have to
come on,
apologize for how you feel if you
when you
felt
do
that
come
way.
on this show, realize I actually did love the album, not the Ribbon Nation song. Um, uh, just
Well,
because it was,
interesting
I didn't
fact.
connect to it. Yeah.
Interesting fact. Michael said Janet took that idea from him. He said that she saw what he was doing with, I think it was Captain EO or something, and
Yeah.
she liked that military style, and she said, hey, Mike, I want to take that idea for my next project. I want to do something military style. He's like, okay, go ahead and go ahead and go ahead, Janet. But he said that she that originally was something. He said he originally was going to go in the direction of that military style for his project, the next album, and he let her have it. So there's a little, and
Okay.
there's a clip of him saying this. I didn't make that up. So,
Okay.
but anyway,
Don't let your
that's
sister down.
interesting. Let's get to our list. Let's get to our
Okay.
list.
Yeah. Do you want to start off with your five?
Me, I'm always
Yeah.
starting. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So for me, I'm going to put one. Where's my list? Oh yeah, this is a long list. Okay,
You
I
got a
gotta
long
edit it.
list.
Yes. Speaking of Michael, Michael's at number 5 with Blood on the Dance Floor. I cannot stand that album. I can't stand it. When I first heard the song and video, I was like, what is Michael? What is this? I hated that song. I hated Blood on the Dance Floor. I just didn't get it. I didn't like the sound. I thought it sounded old. Like it sounded at that time, I think it came out in 90. Did it come out in 96 or something? I don't remember, 97. And it sounded like it was produced in like 90 or something. It sounded like it was out
Yeah.
of
So
place. And
the tracks "Blood on the Dance Floor"
mhm.
was from 19 from the Dangerous album. Teddy wanted to
Oh,
do
it
an
was old.
update.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Teddy wanted to do an updated version. Michael says no, it's good as it is, and he left it. The other track,
I didn't like it.
is it scary? And no, Ghost.
Yeah.
Is it Ghost?
Mhm.
No, is it no? It was Ghost. The one that he did the Teddy Riley produced Ghost. It was from '93. There was they were doing it. It was '93, so it was still when they were working on stuff with the Adams. So, and then he
Mhm.
had some leftover tracks from History, which from Jam and Lewis, and some remixes. That album was to fulfill his contract with Sony. He put that out there, and then he did Invincible. Yes, I
You're
will.
talking to somebody that literally will buy anything that Michael will put out. Every
Yes,
time
I
anything
am
he put
one
out.
with you. So yes, that
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
will.
was disappointed with that.
Yeah,
I was like, what is going on? I don't like this. Why did you do this?
yeah.
And I didn't, I mean, it did sound like a compilation of different things, but
It
it
was.
just did
Yeah,
not work for
it
me.
did.
It
No, of
wasn't the
course. Yeah,
quality I was expecting. And I feel like when artists do that just to, you know, fulfill a contract, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing
like
yourself
Prince.
a
Always
disservice.
never forgive Prince for just throwing out so much stuff that I just got. He lost value in his music when he was giving us too much stuff. So
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well,
Yeah.
Prince was very much, he makes music and he just wants to get it out and move on to the next thing.
Mm,
So he constantly was a creative person. He was constantly creating. But anyway, Blood
yeah.
on the Dance Floor was definitely a disappointing album. Again, and I know with every album I do go back years later and try to listen to see if I, feel differently. And that was one I still don't feel that I still feel the
Yeah.
same.
Well, it's
So,
staying on. Yeah, staying on that history, the history
oh, okay.
album. Um, it had a few good songs. You're Not Alone. Um, um, maybe you could look at No, They Don't Care About Us was a good song, but as a whole, the the mechanics of the album just didn't, because he was taking Janet's sound and trying to do something that just didn't fit him. Um,
Yeah.
I listened to the whole album. I was disappointed. So when you talk about going out, rushing when it was 10, 9, midnight, you can buy the album. And I rushed out, got the gold double CD. I'm like, oh yes, put it in there, reading the liner notes, and no Teddy Riley. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, where's Teddy? No Teddy. Teddy just did your
Yeah.
your album that was built. And so and then oh, my goodness, it was biggest disappointment ever with a Mike was that history album. I mean, You're Not Alone was the only I didn't like Scream. Oh Lord, no,
I didn't like that either. I
no,
don't think that, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was good for Janet. I don't think his sound was good for Mike. Their sound was good for Michael. And
because they
I
grew
just
up with
didn't think
Janet, so they
the
knew
fit.
how to talk and stuff. I think,
Yeah.
and Jimmy
And then
admitted being a fan
that's
of
your
Michael.
competitor in a sense. I'm just really wildly against working with your competitors, producers. Like I just don't, because I mean, essentially Michael and Janet had a friendly competition. So,
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, I don't really care for that. I won't say that. I found things to like in that album,
Time Lord
but that's
Junkie. Oh goodness,
yeah,
it
I
was
didn't really
it.
care for that one
Yeah,
either. And again, like I said, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan, so
yeah. You're not gonna get
I'm
anyone
capable
bigger
of
than
not
me, but
liking something.
yeah.
But
So
yeah. So
who goes next?
next, oh, where is it? Okay, so uh, where do I start? No, I'm joking. Okay, so well, this group was one I was really excited when I was a kid. I'm like, I love their first album. It was refreshing. I used to play it every day next to Guy. I would play Guy's The Future, and then I would play this album back to back, back to back, back to back. This I loved them. This was BBD. Um,
Hootie Mac.
yes, the first album was good. Hootie Mac was I don't know why, but I just remember having such a like a reaction, a knee jerk reaction. Like, what is this? It's not nothing was catchy to me at that time. I didn't like any of it. I was watching the
You had
videos.
one
It's like,
song,
what is?
"Something in Your Eye" with Babyface wrote.
That's the one saving grace from the album, and that's actually turned out to be one of my favorite groups. My favorite songs from them. And that was like the one song that saved that album.
Yeah.
And I used to love that song. Now I remember I used to sing. That was one of the songs I could sing that was in my singing range. I used to sing it all the
Okay.
time. But that album at that time was terrible to me, in my personal opinion. I was like, this is nothing. Where's Poison? Where's Do Me
Yeah.
Baby? Where's those
Yeah.
kind of
It
songs? And it
was.
was just like something else. However, again, I try to go back and listen to albums. And I recently listened to that album and I
Okay.
actually enjoyed it. It was not as bad
Oh.
as I originally, because I think they were trying to try something different. Maybe they were ahead of their time, because a lot of groups, now that I listen to it, a lot of groups started doing that, or at least in a different way. So, but for me, at that time, I have to go by, I'm going by, this list is compiled of how I felt at that time. And at that time, I was disappointed and I hated that album. Like a lot of these albums were coasters in my house. Like they were like, I would sit my drink on top of them. Like these are the type of CDs that you just, either you're going
Yeah.
to exchange them or you're going to just, they're going to be on the floor. You got to sweep up the floor. You got the CDs sweeping up the floors, and you
Oh
don't care.
goodness.
You don't care that the CD is the face down.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's a
no,
collection.
yeah. What's yours?
Mine was Blackstreet finally.
Oh, I got to take that one off. That was next. I'm glad you
Yeah,
mentioned.
I mean, goodness. boyfriend, girlfriend. Now, as I said, I've spoken to I spoke to Eric, and he was like, "Yeah, we don't know what possessed to push that." I didn't like the fact that Mark had left. I didn't like the fact that it then, he came off. They came off of another level. They had some a good type of vibe going, and the sound for the finally album just there was maybe two tracks that were okay that I might have used, but as a whole, it was almost as if everyone had changed. The engineering, the everyone who worked on the another level album, and all the producers, everyone, and then you changed Mark, and so I was disappointed with that, and
Well,
yeah,
and like for me, coming, not even knowing all, because I mean, I was a fan of Teddy at that time, but it was more
yeah,
so I didn't know all the different engineers and everybody that's involved. I didn't know that part of it. I just know sonically when I put in the CD
yeah,
and I was skipping through, I'm like, ugh, where's
yeah.
the no diggity? Where's the great the funky up tempos? And then it was a lot of copycat tracks like Drama that was supposed to be I Can't Get You Out of My Mind, but it
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
same
And
formula,
actually,
but it was
Drama
for
was
like a
supposed to
few
have
minutes.
Mary on it. Mary recorded her
Yeah,
vocals,
she didn't like the
but
song.
she got upset with the fact that Teddy didn't come to do the recording, and
Oh,
Eric also said he didn't feel comfortable performing on her track, which she later did with KC. He was
mm,
supposed to be on that track, and so she just told Jimmy, "Get my
yeah.
vocals off of that." And we were promised all that, because if you watch Teddy's the man behind the music on BET special, they did a sneak about the new album, and there was supposed to be other things, a lot more things, and things got cut out. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only thing that would have probably saved that song Drama is having Mary J. Blige, who was one of
Mary.
the
That
music
yeah,
artists at the time. But the song as it stands on alone, I don't know. I felt the song was just kind of, I don't know. It was okay. But as far as the album, I
yeah,
didn't like it. Even the song, what's the song? Think About You or something. It was
yeah.
just a lot
Think
of
about
mediocre
you,
songs. This is
black
an
and
example of
white.
mediocre. Yeah,
Yeah,
black and
black
white.
and
This is
white.
what mediocre. I
Girlfriend,
did like In a
boyfriend.
Rush. In a Rush, I did like that song. Um, Your Love, kinda, but that sounded
Your
old. That sounded
love.
like it was
Yes,
left
with
over.
Sauce Money, I actually said that was. I said to Eric that could have been the first single. It would have been better on the radio than Boyfriend Girlfriend.
Boyfriend, I didn't even get that. So yeah, that boyfriend girlfriend was so cheesy. I just didn't get it. I don't understand why. And you had Janet Jackson, and this is what you came up with. So
This
I don't
is
know. I just was disappointed. Like she was a big star too at that time. I'm like, yeah,
yeah, they
that.
just put in some. I can't even remember the video was that they were playing ping pong. They spent over 1 million on the worst video on the worst track, and
Mm.
yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I'm disappointed. So you next.
All right. So one of our favorite groups, of course, was Jodeci in the 90s. Jodeci was definitely one of my favorite groups. And when they broke up, it broke my heart. I was really disappointed. But I was excited when Casey and JoJo decided to do a solo project or, do their
Yeah,
own project
yeah.
together. And I think it was 96 they put out Love Always. I think that was 96. But it was called Love Always. And I absolutely hated that album. However, but I'm not no, let me no. So when I first listened to it, I was expecting it to be Jodeci. Like I was expecting, you know, the lush, not the lush, but the harmonies, and I got the harmonies and everything, but it just was not Jodeci. It didn't have the swag of Jodeci. It didn't have, I don't know. It just didn't have that vibe at all. It sounded like music for my parents or my uncle at that time. So I absolutely did not like that album. I was very disappointed in it. However, that was the album that grew on me. So even though I didn't like it, it was like one of the few CDs I had at that time. So I would just like play it around, all the time. And eventually I actually end up loving that album.
Oh,
And so that was one of the ones that I actually turned around and actually ended up liking. But I remember just emotionally when I first listened to it, I was like, "What is this? This is okay. Where there's no up tempos." Because the thing is, I'm actually a weirdo because with Jodeci, a lot of people like their ballads. I like their up tempos. I used to love their up tempos a lot. I liked "Go Through the Motions," baby. I like that song. I like on the whole uh Diary of a Mad Band. I love that whole up tempo side of the cassette. Back in the day when we
Yeah,
had cassettes,
the
I used to
cassette.
I used to wear that out. Sweaty and all those different songs. I love that sound. So I was very disappointed. I was very slow. But as I got, I guess because I got older, I could appreciate the songs. It was, Don't Rush. It's a song they did with Babyface. I can't remember the name of it. It's a lot of songs in that album I actually end up really loving. Uh, Last night I wrote a letter or something like that. I like that song too. It's a lot of songs that eventually I grew to love. But that's one album when I first heard it, I hated it.
Hmm.
Next. What are your thoughts? Did you even hear that album? Did you like it?
No, I didn't hear the album.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear the album. No, but my next one, um,
Mhm.
my number three is "Forever" by Bobby Brown.
Okay, that was on my list. But yes, I agree.
You know what?
Okay.
Because so after Teddy did the Bobby album, which is probably one of my, if we did our top five, it will be my top five albums, the Bobby album,
Mhm.
especially the seven that Teddy did. Um, so I was like expecting that level type of, okay, let's go back in. There was no Teddy, there was no Jimmy and Terry, there was no Babyface. It was Tim and Bob,
There's
but this was early Tim and Bob, and it was
there's a lot of
Bobby.
generic producers
Yeah, and it was
nobody heard
Bobby,
of.
and Bobby was not 100% Bobby. Especially that first video, "Feeling Inside," he was just all over the place. So yeah, I
Yeah,
was
that
like,
CGI with the skeleton and all, I'm
yeah,
just like,
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah,
heck is what
yeah.
am I watching?
This is Bobby.
You
This
went
is
from the cool humping around image and all. I know you don't like the
yeah.
song, but humping
I
around those images of that second or that Bobby album to this. Oh,
Yeah, and this was '97, so we're talking prime '90s R&B kind of stuff.
mm.
And it was, yeah, it was sad. It was sad. It was terrible.
He
It was.
was dealing with a lot then, though. I think there was a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
things.
and when people talk, yeah, and I'm, people ever start talking about, but I said, look, Bobby has come through a lot. It was, we can see in the documentary, see in the film, we see with the Bobby with being Bobby. But yeah, so that it was there's no excuse for it being a bad album.
Right.
What about you?
So for me, I'm gonna have to pull out something because you took a couple of off here. I was gonna say Craig David. Did I get that? But I'm not gonna say that.
Oh,
Craig
oh,
David. But no, I actually end up liking that album. I do like Craig David. So
oh,
don't come for me.
yeah. He only
I
just
was talking to Craig David last week. But go ahead. What are you
he
saying?
he only just recovered from that album, in the UK, because after that album he was shunned here in the UK,
What
and
really?
yeah, and it's only when somebody
What's
did
the
a
tea?
it was such a, because he went to the States, and he went and changed his UK style and did
Hmm.
an American style. It flopped in America, and he got sort of
Yeah.
shunned here. And it was only just 2 years ago or 3 years ago that he got featured on a remix, and people started to celebrate him. So now he's now more,
Right.
people's forgotten that, and he's being celebrated. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's an honorable. I was just joking about that. That was an honorable
Okay.
mention.
Okay.
I actually end up kind of liking the album a little bit later on, but anyway, that's nothing. So my next one that I was disappointed in and I was excited for it is Hot Cocoa, the solo album from Coco from SWV. Now, I had great expectations for Coco. I wanted her to have the career of a Beyonce. So knowing the quality of work she did with SWV, I kept thinking, well, surely this album gotta be dope because you're the voice of all of these hits. And you've been doing songs with Missy Elliott. You got all of the biggest producers. Brian, I saw Brian was coming back for this project. So I was super excited for it. She was working with Rodney Jerkins, who had just blew up with Brandy and all. I was like, oh my god. And I got into listening to the album, and it was just a mediocre album. It was very mediocre. It wasn't terrible, right? I'm not gonna go and say I hated it. It wasn't terrible, but it was very mediocre. Wasn't a lot of standout single potential songs, in my opinion. I mean, there are a few songs she could have released instead of the songs she did, like I don't know. I mean, okay, but anyway, it was just a mediocre album, and this was an opportunity for her to really set her her solo career path ablaze with some dope songs. I heard the rumor that she fell out with Missy, so they didn't end up really working together.
Mm.
Um, but anyway, I was disappointed in the album. However, I did grow an appreciation for the album, and I do still listen to it from time to time. And there are songs I love on there, like "Bigger Than We," and mainly the songs that Brian Alexander Morgan wrote. Um, you know, did I
Mm.
say Brian Austin? I hope I
No,
didn't.
you
But
said
anyway,
Brian
Brian,
Alexander.
yeah, because that's the actor Brian
Yeah,
Austin
Austin, yeah,
Green from
from
902.
90210,
I
yeah.
always think those like, do not say that name because that's similar. But anyway, yeah, but this album was definitely a disappointment to me because of what I was expecting, especially after Release Some Tension and all those albums. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I think
please get back
timing
to
was wrong. I mean,
yeah.
some people just, I don't know if you need to separate, but my fourth one would be, I don't know why another Teddy group is here, but Guy Three, yeah, Guy
Oh
Three.
yeah, okay. That was on my
You
list
know
too.
what? We because when I heard the first single, Dancing, I was like,
Hmm.
Darren Lighty, Eddie F. They had that type of like untouchables. I was thinking, okay, this is a new sound for Guy, and I was expecting, and now Dancing was the highest charting single by Guy ever on the
Right,
top 100. So
which is weird.
I bought the album thinking, wow, this is going to be, he's now moving to the sort of the way R&B is, and
Mhm.
lo and behold, it was pieced together. It was pretty much like, yeah, let's just do this. You know, Subsequently, I've learned that they took, he didn't want to release Mucho and Dizzo's 911
One
project.
group, yeah,
He took almost third, 4 or 5 songs from their album
yeah.
for Guy, and
And
it
I have
didn't
that album.
sound anything as good as. Oh, you got the 911 album?
Yeah, it's dope, and it does sound. Those songs, those versions do sound better.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean,
but like I said, I think it's just like when Jodeci came back several years ago and put out that album. I think that the magic isn't there, and it's become more of a business move. And the passion and when you listen to the first Jodeci albums, there's passion there. There's thought behind the music. There's a lot of synergy between everybody. And with Guy, them coming back together, I think also too there was pressure on Teddy. Like I think a lot of pressure was on Teddy too, because once you're known as an innovator and you're the leader, you know you can only be the leader for so long. At some point you're gonna stumble. At some point you're gonna run out of ideas. So I think that was the result of the third album. However, I don't hate the third album. I do. There's a few songs on there I do like. But it's just when I think and compare, it just feels so far removed from the first two. It feels it, like when
yeah.
SWV came back with their new album after breaking up, they pretty much had that same vibe. They had
Mm.
songs that felt. I mean, I don't know if you heard that album, but what is it called? I Missed Us. That I don't know if anybody's ever heard that album. That sounds very SWV. When Guy came back, it felt like a mishmash of other things. It felt like Blackstreet. It felt like other people. It didn't feel like a Guy album to me.
Yeah.
It just had the only thing that was recognizable was the Aaron's voice. Like that's what tied it together. But anyway, so for mine, I'm this next one. I'm going to show this. I hope people know who this is.
After
This is
seven.
After Sevens. I believe this is their second album, Taking My Time. I did not care for this album. I didn't care for it. And, I think and unfortunately, I think this is the problem too with us fans. Sometimes we get married to a sound. So in our mind, from the first album of After Seven, we know Babyface is producing them, you know, and the hits are Babyface songs. So you're just like, you automatically assume, yeah, well, we're going to get some more great Babyface songs. And so they put out this album, and aside from Baby I'm For Real, which I think that was
Oh,
on
was
like
that on
the,
this album?
yeah, I like that song. That was, I believe, also included on the Five Heartbeats, I think,
I'm
soundtrack.
not
I don't know,
sure.
but I think it came out around that time. I think it was. There's a couple of songs on here, but as a whole, I didn't really care for this album. I haven't really listened to it. I'm probably going to revisit it now that there's an R&B drought in the world now. We can't, you know, I got to go overseas to the UK to listen to Mahalia and all these other different artists. Like I can't, or is it Mahalia? I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this album, it had a couple of songs here I liked. I did like Baby I'm For Real, and there's one other one on here. I can't looking through. I can't remember how it sounds. But overall, I was disappointed with the album because there was no Babyface ingredient. I have to learn how to detach that though. Even when Toni Braxton, whenever she would not work with Babyface, those like the third and fourth and the fifth albums, I was kind of like, I want Babyface back. So unfortunately, we got to learn to stop doing that. But that's my opinion of that album. I didn't really care for it. It was disappointing when I bought it, and I was just like, yeah, this is not the After Seven I was expecting. So,
So my
all
final
right,
one is It's Going Down.
mm, it's going down. Which one is that? Is that Ralph
Ralph.
Tresvant?
Yeah, okay,
Oh
you know.
yeah,
So he
yeah. Is
he
this the
did
one where he wrote and produced all the songs?
well. He no he produced he did produce a bit of them. He
Yeah,
with
and I
Jimmy
think
and
Jimmy Jam, they did
yeah,
like one or two.
yeah, they did a couple of times, but it's
Yeah,
it's I don't understand people. If so you need a couple of good singles um
mhm,
to really get sensitivity, something that follows up, and then we say, oh, okay, let's try the album. When you try and say, oh, I want to start writing to make the money, um, and you've not given us the consistency of writing, it's hard to try and understand why you expect us to just say, oh, you're a great writer. The
right,
formula worked. Jimmy and Terry, they knew how to get the best out of you from the last, from New Edition to your first album. Continue with that, and then you build from that. But no, it's very.
well,
I mean, I
I
don't
don't know.
even
I
know
mean,
if there's
because
any.
in in the case of Escape, Candy wanted to do a lot of writing, and Jermaine wasn't going to let her. And look how she turned out to be a good writer. I think some people think that they are, but in the case of Ralph, I don't know. When I heard the album, it was like, wasn't it a little harder edged, and he
Yeah,
was trying to
yeah,
be more like a thug or whatever.
yeah.
And that's the thing. I think he wasn't too happy with the image that was created for him, because it really probably didn't reflect who he really was. So he always had to be this stone cold gentleman and this suave guy. And music was hard. He wanted to change with the times, and he probably really wasn't that person. That was just probably an image constructed for him. So I don't know. I'm all for people having artistic expression. However, balance it out with the producers that made you successful. So Jimmy, the one song that did come off of there, I think they did have one song off of there produced by Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was
I
about
don't know.
two.
Was it a hit?
No.
Was it called? What was it called?
Um. No. He
I
had.
can't remember.
I'm
Who's the Mac or something? I don't know
yeah.
what I don't know.
Yeah. He had his Mac. I mean,
I don't know.
it wasn't good at all.
Yeah, it just wasn't good. And he had another independent release, and I bought it just because I wanted to support, and it wasn't good. Some people, it's something called, it had a weird name, Rizzy Raw or
Yeah,
something
Rizzy
weird.
Raw. Yeah, came out in '06.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't really care for that either. So it's just some people, and I get it. They want
Uh,
to make money,
So
and
you know
but you
when
can't make money if your music is gonna sell.
so in around that '94, R. Kelly was changing the game. So Jodeci and Devante started it off in
Hmm.
'91 with the style of R&B and what they were singing about, and then R. Kelly was moving in that direction. So a lot of people were changing their vibe. Even the H-Town were changing their vibe and stuff. But then you had someone like Joe who was countering that, but had as a style. So there were those types of producers. And I think people like Ralph should have just looked and said, okay, let me get some R. Kelly, and let me go and get some Tim
Yeah.
and Bob, or let me go and get some Joe. Like Chico DeBarge, if you can see how he was, he was he was working with Joe. He was guest appearing anyway. He felt contemporary, and we knew his talent. So I think yeah, so that was a pity. So anyway,
Yeah.
guys, there may be 5 albums that you want to list down. Please do so, so that and maybe you disagree with, maybe you love Finally, or maybe you love Guy 3, or maybe you loved After
Yeah.
4. Just put it down. Let us know in the comment sections and stuff.
Yeah. See you
For the
next time.
next episode. Yeah.
Thanks again for watching, guys.
And before we go, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Yeah, and also remember to turn on the notification so you can know when we have another show. But thanks again.
That too.